Welcome to the Vault Studios NFL podcast, an Australian twist on all things NFL. The boys are cracking into a nice cold beer from Burnley Brewing. Let's join them.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, JA, and as always, I'm joined by the great man, the big Buccaneers fan that got his wish of playing at 1 o'clock on a crappy field with bad commentators. He got his wish and they got the dub. Richard Garraway, how are you, man?
That's all I want. No more primetime games. We're not good at them.
Primetime Bucks, no.
No.
They absolutely rolled, and we've got that coming up in a bit. What a week of football, Richard. Awesome.
Fantastic.
Good
Fantastic
game
week of football.
I'm looking ahead for next week as well. We're getting into some good games now because all the division games are rolling back around that matter again. It was awesome. It was an awesome week. I thoroughly enjoyed a few games. We've got a very special part for DeAndre Hopkins coming up in a bit. Can't stop thinking about it.
Magical.
Before we get into anything, obviously, breaking Oz memorabilia, the Gronk helmet is on its way. Gronk Eclipse Buccaneers helmet. The break will be as soon as I get it. It was mailed today, so from WA right now in COVID, probably 6 months. Knowing Australia. So as soon as it gets here, that'll be going straight up for a break, and the Patreon break will be the end of this month. So if you want to get into that, you have to sign up for this month. If you don't sign up this month, you will not get into that break. So if you wait till a couple of days before and it goes into the next, if it goes into December, you'll miss out on November's one. So got to be signed up. Basically how it works is it charges you 1st of December, and whoever's in that is in the first break. If you're not, you're in the next one. So you got a few more days. Get into it. $10 a month. Get you into a break to win a Speed Authentic like a Gronkowski one we're doing. There'll be plenty more helmets up for grabs though. So I think it's a no-brainer. And thank you to the boys at Breaking Oz Memorabilia. Now, my good friends, I went to Burnley Brewing today to pick up some beer. And as always, they looked after me exceptionally because that's what they do. It's the kind of people they are. It was back operating. There's people in there having lunch. It was a beautiful sight to see. Chloe, our rep, told us that they had the best month of retail they have ever had last month in their store's history. So well done, Chloe. Well done, Michael. Awesome work from Burnley Brewing. And then they did what I couldn't believe it, Richie. I couldn't believe it. They not only gave me a coffee brown beer, which we all know how we feel about the coffee brown. They gave me 2 boxes of the coffee brown beer.
Yeah,
2 boxes.
I'm coming around to your house because I'm not letting you have all those.
Well, you're going to have to come around and have a few because they are delightful. And to celebrate that, I am going to have one now while Richie starts talking about how the Colts beat up on the Tennessee Titans last Friday night and have taken control of the South. Give us your insight, Richie.
I saw that when you put it in the rundown. I don't know if they've taken complete control because they play each other again in 2 weeks. So it's going to be really interesting. I don't... Sorry?
Was it in Tennessee?
That's a great question. Trying to scroll up to get it.
I can't remember. I thought it was.
Oh, now I've completely lost it. Here we go.
Either way.
I think it was.
We were kind of saying last week that we thought the Colts were a bit dead and buried. But they were struggling. Rivers was struggling. I know the Titans aren't an amazing offense, but they're good. A defense, but they're good. They're not bad. To come out and do that to them, I thought it was pretty impressive, to be honest.
The Colts are very up and down. If you look back at their last handful of weeks, obviously they beat the Titans, which is a really good win. They lost to the Ravens. They rolled the Lions, really rolled them. But then they squeaked past Cincinnati and they lost the Browns.
Washington. The Lions almost lost to an Alex Smith-led Washington up 24-3. So let's not get carried away. But you're right. They've been called kind of flat track bullies. They've been beating up on bad teams, struggling with good teams, along with Green Bay, who are being called that, who can't be called flat track bullies anymore because they could barely get over the Jacksonville Jaguars this week. But I think it's. I actually hate. I had a message from one of our guys that listens saying, do I think the Packers are flat track bullies? This is before the Jacksonville game. And I hate that phrase because the NFL is the NFL. There's no bad teams.
There's no easy games.
Like you play the Jets, right? Who are a terrible team. they still got Sam Darnold, who was the number 1 pick. If he just bobs up and has a good game that week and just plays like his potential for 1 week, like he did against the Cowboys last year in one game,
or the Patriots played 2 weeks ago.
You don't know what you're going to get from guys like that, and it's the NFL. So calling someone I think if a good team beats a bad team, I think that's a great sign, and I think that's something you should get. I don't like the idea of if you get a win, you get a win, and it's hard in the NFL, like the Jacksonville Jaguars did the other day. They got up for a game, and it was Packers had to fight for it because they have first round picks and they have talent too. They got highly paid guys. They got guys winning contracts. They're all the same.
As we always talk about, divisional games, first off, they split way more often than they get swept across the league every year. And even when teams you expect to win, there's not many shellackings in the NFL. There's really not. And it's just the game, There are every now and then someone just gets blasted, like the Panthers just didn't play a second half against Tampa, and they got smacked. Yeah, they really did. But it's, as you said, it's the NFL. This competition, it's not like it's a soccer league where you can be the Bundesliga in Germany, which is a really good league, but it's still only the 4th best in the world. I mean, there's none of that. This is the elite best of the best. And, this game ain't easy. It's as simple as that.
And look, to get us back to the South, the Colts have taken the lead. They're still 6-3 with the Titans. So it's going to depend on the run home. I think we thought the Colts had a better run home last week. But, they've got the head-to-head now, but they do play each other again. They play someone this week and then they play again next week. Next week will pretty much, for me, decide that division. Because if the Colts win that, they'll be at least a game up and the head-to-head. So they'd have to lose 2 games and have the Titans win 4 games in the last 4 weeks to lose that. Because if they're tied, it's all they're fine. So then that'll decide a lot. But I was surprised. I did not think the Colts were going to be able to get it done. I really didn't think they could do it. So
no, I must admit me either. I really thought the Tennessee were the class of that division, and we're going to sort of get going. But hey, maybe not. Maybe it'll be a dogfight to the end.
Colts defense is the real deal, and if Philip Rivers can play well and just not turn the ball over and keep him in games, he's still a very viable player.
You're asking a lot of Philip Rivers.
I understand. There's 2 things he's not good at: not turning the ball over and using protection. There is 2 things he struggles with. What Burnley Brewing have you got, Richie? What's that little number?
This is my last one. This is my last barrel-aged Imperial Stout, which, as we've talked about before, you sip this beer because it's a huge can and it will knock you on your ass. It's so strong.
Corrugated beers today that are a special.
Tastes incredible.
They're a special edition. They're 2.5 standard drinks per beer.
Well, this one is 3.4.
Oh, boy. Oh, Billy.
9.8.
Don't drink too many of them.
Sip. Sip them.
Have a little sip of it as you go tonight. Let's get on. I know you're going to be excited about this. It is Jameis Winston time. Drew Brees down with an injury. Me and you were having a pretty good message back and forth about what we thought that I wouldn't be allowed to read out loud on the podcast. I think you'd see more from him with a 4 week to prepare, and they're still thinking Brees might play this week. It's a cracked rib or a broken rib.
It's a broken rib and a collapsed lung.
There's no chance he'll play this week. And it's against Atlanta, division rival. This is a massive 4 game for them. They would not want to drop this. And it's going to be Winston. And it's, I don't, are you buying it? He did not look good in that game, but it's also unfair it's unfair to judge someone off coming in as a backup. Although if you're
I actually hate that. So there's NFL players, like you hear Steve Young talk about his career sitting behind Montana. He said, I prepped to win and play in every single game. So I don't buy that you weren't ready when you came in halfway through. I'll accept maybe you start a little cold because you can't get into the flow of the game. Yeah. But to not be ready personally, looking at NFL quarterbacks, is unacceptable. Like you're paid to be ready. That's what you are there for. No other reason. Because if they thought you were good enough to start, you'd be starting, but you're not. Your job is to be ready all the time. Now, that being said, looking at Jameis, one, I forgot how careless he was with the football when he's rushing and when he's in the pocket. My God, I'd forgotten.
Scramble on the goal line. It was like, mate, tuck the ball. Like, I loved the power. He ended up running through a linebacker, but tuck the ball away, kid.
Yeah. And forget, don't bother talking to him about it because that's who he is. Like it's amazing how quickly you forget things about your own quarterback. But he's so careless with the ball. I forgot how bad his pocket awareness is.
Yep.
And I'm sure he came in cold, so it was probably even worse than it normally is. But it's not good. He runs himself into trouble. I still can't believe he does it. He just has no awareness of where the players are, where to slide, when to step up, when to drop out. I'm just amazed by it. And his mechanics, which have always been, personally, I think his biggest flaw that caused him to sail balls and just not be particularly accurate. And like I say, if Sands fans, just buckle up. Like this is a roller coaster. Like buckle up and get ready. He'll do some things you're like, oh yeah, we're going to be able to get through. And then he'll do some others you're like, oh my God, we're in a world of trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be wild. I'm looking forward. I'm interested to see how much they'll put Taysom Hill in. Obviously, they don't back him as a quarterback. But last year we saw Teddy Bridgewater come in and do a really good job and get himself a massive contract. It's now, although I think Winston, he's on a deal for next year. I think they want Wilson to be the predecessor for Breeze. I think they do. I think they're buying Breeze for a year, maybe two, and we'll see how you go. Although I think this is Breeze's last year, no matter what. He needs to.
He's a stop. They'll be having him there next year. He'll be allowed to compete, but I'll be shocked if they don't draft for a starting quarterback this off season.
Yeah,
they'd be crazy not to.
We're going to find out what he's got because I think Breeze is going to be 2, maybe 3 weeks. Personally, we're going to find out what he's got, and it's a tight division there.
Not many people have broken ribs, and I haven't broken one because I consider a break to be all the way through. And a fracture is where you've got a crack. Okay, I've fractured a rib before, and it was fucking agony for weeks. When you get touched there, you feel like you're going to pass out. It hurts. Like, it really hurts.
Yeah.
And if his are broken through, in my medical definitions, which, I'm clearly a doctor, you can't play with that. You just can't.
He said he was breathing on the sideline. That was the one thing.
And I'm sure he got jabbed up to see maybe if he could go. So he was probably on painkillers as well. That he would have had the worst night's sleep. He'll be sleeping in a chair. That's what you have to do. You can't lie down. Yeah. It is the worst. So I'll be shocked. If he plays next week, they're not broken. They could be severely bruised, but they are not broken.
Yeah. We'll see what happens because it'll be interesting to see what Jameis Winston can do. Let's get over to Ronald's record. Ronald Jones, 98-yard touchdown run, and the Buccaneers find some form. The old adage that Tom Brady never plays 2 bad games certainly rung true here. He shredded the Carolina Panthers, shredded them. They were a bit slow in the first half, but they had some plane issues. They landed a bit later than normal. They started a bit slow defensively too, but second half, they just absolutely dominated this football game. It was 24-6 in the second half. So, yeah, it was a good showing. Ronald Jones, though, he's really taken the bull by the horns there. When Leonard Fournette came in, everyone thought it was going to be his offense, but Ronald Jones is really starting to take that over. And he's getting a lot more snaps now.
He's been very up and down this season, and not only as a Bucks fan, but as a fantasy owner of him who benched him this week. It's due to his inconsistency. The thing that I think hurts him the most is he's got a coaching staff who likes to ride the hot hand, and he hadn't been the last few weeks, and it had really been not even a 50-50 time split with just Fournette. They've been using all their backs. Yeah. And he just, he was on this week and they just rode it the whole way. And people would say, oh, yeah, well, you might have had almost 200 yards, but you got 100 of it on one. It still means he rushed for 100 the rest of the time. Yeah. Plus, I think he had a handful of catches too. If he can find that kind of level, and I think this is the frustrating thing right now about being a Bucks fan. We're back in prime time this week, which almost guarantees a loss. But
Rams on Monday night.
I know. Trust me, I know. Their up and down is if you're a coach, that it must be infuriating. Just the general up and down nature of their play, where you look at the defense one week and you're like, holy crap, this is a potentially Super Bowl winning defense. And then the next week, just not even turning up. You think, what has happened here?
And it looked like that in the first half today. It looked like it was going to get away from them.
It was certainly slow going. I don't know what was said at halftime, but it certainly changed it. It's really interesting. I think I do feel like the play calling is improving as we go. I really feel like I nearly called him Justin Leftwich.
Byron?
Who is
Justin?
I have no idea. I don't know why I said it. He's really improving. I think in a couple of years he'll be a head coach candidate. Whether anyone's got the guts to pull the trigger on him, I don't know. But yeah, I think he's really starting to come into his own as well. And I feel like it's all kind of gelling. But as I said, the last handful of weeks, it's been up, down, and it's so hard to get a read. And if they crap the bed again on Monday night when the bright lights are on and everyone's watching, I honestly don't know what to think. They're now in the prime because of what happened to Breeze. There is no better opportunity now to win the South.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't think they can get a week off, but especially now there's only one. But it's going to be really interesting in the next few weeks if they can find the consistency, because their best is more than good enough to compete with the best in the NFC. But I mean, they're worse. Like losing to a crappy Bears team on a Thursday night, like that shit's unacceptable. You can't have those losses.
It'll come back.
You can't get those games back. You know?
No.
So it'll be really interesting.
100%. Let's talk Raiders football. I'm liking a lot about the Raiders at the moment.
They're fun.
I watched this game on live, like obviously on Red Zone. Then I watched it on condensed. I like what they're doing. They're fun. They run the ball hard. Their offense is move. It's so good for Derek Carr. They move him around. They let him. He has a really good arm. People don't realize how powerful his arm is. And what Gruden's doing is allowing him to boot and move and hit lots of crosses. And if you want to cover, the big thing about like a team that does a lot of crossing routes, like the Raiders, is if you want to start covering the crosses, you've got to bring your safety down and lose depth to stop the crosses. And that's when guys like Henry Ruggs and athletes get over the top of you, when those safeties are trying to jump the crossing routes. Now, if they get it right, it can lead to turnovers, but they're getting it right, the Raiders, at the moment. And I think Derek Carr's playing outstanding. Denver are not a chump defense. Now, I know the Broncos offense were awful in this game, and they didn't help the defense out at all, but to put 37 points in the team, yeah, I think there's a lot of people thinking that.
I was off him from the start. I feel great.
You're right. You just can't turn the ball over that much.
No.
I'd still give him one more year. I'd get all the guys back and give him a full off season and see how you go. There's unless you get like the number one pick and you got a chance at Lawrence, that's your only thing. But the Raiders, I'm enjoying them. They're solid as a rock. They've got Josh Jacobs, obviously one of the best running backs in the league. Devontae Booker got 81 yards, 2 touchdowns. Derek Carr's at 65% passing this game. Not a lot of yards, but just dumps it off to guys and they just get the damage done up front. I'm really enjoying them, and a rejuvenated defense. They haven't got a lot of turnovers this year. They got 4 interceptions in this game, 2 to Jeff Heath, which just as an ex-Cowboy, wow.
Just a stab.
Couldn't get one for the Dallas Cowboys, Jeff. Don't worry. Go and get them all somewhere else. But, they're playing well. They've got strong guys up front. Jonathan Abram, the safety they took in the first round last year, is starting to really become that enforcer over the middle. And it's kind of the new age enforcer. We've seen guys in the past that have been enforcers that get penalized all the time because they're stupid. They don't know how to hit. He's kind of almost the first of these new age enforcers that have that strike zone that hit really well, kind of from shoulders to waist, and do the right thing a lot of the time. They're not just going down and headbutting everyone like crazy people.
It's because the game has changed, taught differently now. The guys who are coming through now have been playing under these rules of you can't hit them in the head and all these things. So the strike zone, which obviously started to shrink, 6 years ago now, 7 years ago, these guys weren't even in college at that point. So, or they're in their first year. So the way they've been taught is completely different to way guys 10 years ago were taught.
Yep.
So you're going to see more and more of that, guys who just hit. I was going to say hit the right way, but yeah, just hit correctly and with good technique. Otherwise, they're not going to risk it because you don't want to get penalised or tossed out of the game.
100%. And Cleveland Farrell's, he's getting better. He's certainly not looking like a bust. Like he is starting to develop as a good end. He still was a massive reach at 3 overall, but it's done now. You got to see if you can get something out of the player. Then like Max Crosby, that, you know, the late round guy they've stolen. Also, do you remember David Irving, Richie?
Yeah, I do.
He was a D tackle for the Dallas Cowboys that got banned smoking weed and then did the video of him, the Twitch, the Instagram live of him smoking the joint. He played for the Raiders on the weekend. He didn't play a lot, but he had like 10 snaps. Had 2
Did he finish the suspension? Is that what it was?
I think so. I think well, you know what? They've got a bit more relaxed on weed, which as they should in America because it's legal in a lot of states.
The rules aren't. Actually, do you want to spew off on a tangent for a second?
Do it. Hit me with it.
Okay, so obviously the US election has come to some sort of completion, sort of. So there's a couple of big things. Obviously, there are a couple of things. The Georgia Senate seats have to now go to a runoff, so that'll be in January, which is basically another election. It's basically another election. If it was a race, I know who'd win, not the crusty old guy who's already there. Now, if the Democrats, by some miracle, can win both, the Senate will be tied. It'll be very interesting. Biden's going to be your president. One of the most amazing things, what a lot of people forget, is on ballot day, much like we have referendums, they have state propositions. And each proposition, every election gets a name. So this year there were 4 new states who were voting to legalize marijuana.
Ooh.
If you take a look at how America votes, urban versus country, black versus white, however you want to split them, they're pretty close to 50-50. You know, Biden's going to win by a handful of million votes, which obviously in a country of 300 million people isn't that much. Not that they all voted, obviously. But the states that had legalizing marijuana on the ballot this year, all 4 got passed and comfortably in all cases.
The whole country's going to be legalized soon.
It's so interesting that they're so divided politically, but everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I'll have weed though. I'm in for that."
I love it. I love it.
So it's very interesting. Very interesting.
In the NFL, it won't be a problem in the next few years. It will not be a problem anymore.
Well, the NBA have it completely stripped out. Like they never test for it. You get to smoke weed all day long.
They just don't care. Yeah, it'll happen in the NFL. Interesting though. Let's move on to.
Sorry, can I just quickly touch on the Raiders?
Yeah, hit me. Here we go.
They got the Chiefs this week, which will be a really interesting game because they beat them earlier in the year.
Yep.
So I would expect the Chiefs to come out and want to smoke them. So it should be a very, very interesting game.
Andy Reid is excellent off buys.
Yeah, he's something like 8-0 or something.
Yeah, it's incredible. He destroys teams off buys.
So, and I'm pretty sure it's a Sunday night game. Pretty sure. Great. So let's say they probably lose that. That makes them 6-4. So to guarantee a playoff spot, you need at least 3 wins. In the AFC, you might need 4. You might need a 10th win.
Yeah.
Probably not, but you might. You just never know. Their 6 final games are Falcons, Jets, Colts, Chargers, Dolphins, and the Broncos again in the last game of the year. They're going to the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Easy.
I think so.
I think it's great to have the Raiders back in the playoffs.
I like the Raiders. I enjoy Gruden.
And I really want to go to that stadium now that I've seen it.
It's pretty sick. How did they put the stadium so quick, but LA still haven't?
Because the LA one wasn't just a stadium, it's a complete district of stuff. And they had to do a lot of excavation work. A lot of that stadium's below ground because it is in the LAX flight path.
Okay.
So it couldn't be over a certain height, whereas the LA one, it's just a block off the strips opposite Mandalay Bay, I think. So you could just build it.
You just explained it to me perfectly. You're a smart man. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
I try.
Let's move on to the NFC East, which is wide open again. After red hot Giants go straight through the worst quarterback in the league in Carson Wentz. Daniel Jones.
That's unfair.
He is the worst quarterback in the NFL.
No, he's not.
If you look at his advanced metrics, I can't even say it. He's terrible though. He's definitely the worst in the NFC East. I think I'd want Garrett Gilbert over him. That's how bad.
No, you
Garrett
don't.
is.
No, you don't.
I don't. I'm being silly, but no one can make me happier than the Eagles sucking. Them being terrible makes me happier than almost anything.
Once again, we'll just
argue
peel back the.
Argue me that the Giants aren't the best team in the NFC East.
I won't. That's very much. Well, once again, we'll peel back the curtain of what you and I do on a Monday morning. So I fire a message to you saying, "Hey, I must have missed this. Does anyone in your division want to fucking win?" And I'm now convinced it's the Giants because if you look back at, so we forked them and they're going to win the division. But anyway, we can do some unforking. Oh yeah, well and truly.
Wow.
So we can do some unforking, but if you look back, so last time they only lost the Eagles by a point. They really had a chance to beat my Buccaneers 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
they only lost to you by a couple, and that game was actually close.
And they lost. Prescott got injured.
Yeah, exactly. They played fine against the Rams. Like that was, hang on, I got it here. 17-9. Now the 49ers killed them and so did the Steelers. And then lost by a couple to the Bears. So I actually think they're the best team. And now, let me give you their run home.
Hit me.
This is how they're going to win the division. They play Cincinnati this week.
Win.
They got the Seahawks, who aren't exactly flying.
I'm
not sure if it's at home or away. But then they have to play the Cardinals. They got the Browns. Ravens, Cowboys.
I see 2 more wins. I've only counted 2. I'll give them 3 to be nice. How many wins is that? 6? A 6 and 10 team.
Now, the Eagles
are going to win the East.
So here's the Eagles.
Someone's going to win the East with 6 wins, Richard.
Maybe. Now, the Eagles are already on. Hang on. I should have got more prepped. I've already done this. So they've only got 3 wins as well, but they've got a half. Thanks to their tie, because you can't just go win one.
Stupid.
So they got the Browns this week.
Loss.
The Seahawks.
Loss.
The Packers.
Loss.
The Saints.
Loss.
The Cardinals.
Loss.
Then the Cowboys and Washington.
Nah, you know what? Cowboys are going to knock them off. I reckon the Cowboys will get Dalton back. They'll be season's going to be over, and they'll be like, you know what? Fuck you, Eagles. They'll go into Philly and ruin their season.
This is what I'm saying.
Say they win one of those 5 good teams, they're still not going to win the division. Oh, they might win the division because the Giants might not win any games.
Because the Giants have to. They have to continue to improve.
I think either 5, 6 and 1, or 6 and 10 are going to win that. 5, 9 and 1, or 6 and 10 are going to win the division. There's no way anyone gets 500 in that division unless the Eagles really work it out quick, smart. But I think Peterson's going to get fired. I think he's a dreadful coach. He's been an awful coach since Frank Reich left. The only good year was when Frank Reich was there and Carson Wentz was playing really well that year, but then he got hurt and Nick Foles played well. That was their only good year. And you could really put that down to Frank Reich for all of it. I think, and then I remember Mike Lombardi used to just destroy Peterson and be like, oh, he's a terrible coach, this, that, and the other. And then he won the Super Bowl and he's like, oh, yeah, I guess I have to back off. He should be back on it now because
I'm sure he is.
They can't win. They suck. They're a terrible offense. And you can blame the Carson Wentz injury all you want. Nick Foles had to come in for him and they still couldn't win. But
yeah,
I'm not buying
as I said, that division is
worst.
It's so bad. So, and basically, if you're the first wild card in the NFC, which right now is looking like it could be the Saints or the Bucks, somebody like that,
you're gonna have someone come into your house and drum you if you're the fourth, which is what the East is going to be. They're going to get drilled by Saints, Bucks, Seahawks, Rams,
Cardinals, Rams. It'll be one of those 5.
Someone's going to rail that team, and I can't wait. Unless it's the Cowboys, then I hope that it doesn't happen. But it's not going to be the Cowboys. And
at least you get to host it. You might win.
That's true. Another home game.
We're to host.
Home. Haven't you heard how good we are at home, Rich?
Yeah, outstanding.
All right, let's move on. Richie, I'm just going to play you something.
Hopkins to the left, 3 receivers to the right. Cardinals trail by 4. They're out of timeouts. 11 seconds left in the game. First down at the Buffalo 43. Now the Bills drop 2 men back 25 yards downfield. Murray back to throw. Flushed out. Rolling left in trouble. Slips a tackle. Got to launch it. He does. Left side into the end zone. Jump ball. And it is. Is it caught? Is it caught? Oh my goodness, it's caught. DeAndre Hopkins caught it. He caught it for a touchdown with 1 second left. I can't believe it. You've got to be joking me. Hopkins reaches up with 3 defenders around him and pulls it in. And the Cardinals lead it 32-30 with a second left. You can't cover Duke. You're not able to cover him. Throw the ball up. That's what Kyler Murray did. He extended the play with his legs and just chucked that thing up into the air, into the desert sky, baby. D-Hop brought it down. Touchdown.
That is, Ron Wolfe. We were trying to think of his name last week. Oh my God, that's the best voice in football. Ex-fullback. He is.
Yes, he played his college football at West Virginia. He was drafted to the St. Louis Cardinals actually before they moved. He is the best color commentator. He is a fan. And he doesn't give a shit about giving analysis. He loves the Cardinals and he loves football. The other caller, the play-by-play is David Pash, who I really like as well.
Very good. I listen to Arizona games on radio instead of Game Pass.
Me too. Those two are so much fun. They're great.
So Game Pass for everyone. You used to be able to actually change where you listen to. But they don't do it anymore. They don't let you. You have to go to like a radio app and do it. But last week we talked about the Arizona Cardinals. I've got Kingsbury as my coach of the year. With the Seahawks dropping that game, there's a real chance they can storm home here.
Hey, I hear what you're saying, just looking at record performance or the rest of it. Man, he makes some bad mistakes. Like, somebody needs to really get in his ear. And he might finish strong, but so far this year, he's done some strange things, and I wish I was slightly more prepped and had them all written down. And you know me, I love him. He runs a style of offense which I love, but I hope it continues to impress for him because the
talent's there though. We're really seeing the talent come through now. I asked a couple of weeks ago, where's Isaiah Simmons been? I really feel like maybe Arizona saw my tweet and. Because he's been playing way more now, and he's playing really well. He had a big play on the weekend. He almost got a sack, and Josh Allen just managed to dump the ball off to a running back who then got tackled for a 5-yard loss. So it was a good play. He looks great. Buda Baker right now for me is the best safety in the league.
He's just awesome.
Everything. He's actually a sneaky defensive player of the year candidate. I don't think he will because he hasn't got the turnovers in that. And the awards love stats. The bottom line.
And it's hard for safeties don't get picks like corners do.
No, but when you see the drive before, Josh Allen throws an outstanding ball to Stephon Diggs, which you think's going to win the game, and but then to Arizona, I know it was a bit of a miracle, but Hopkins just an exceptional play on that play.
He's so good.
I warrant you go and listen to the Bills reporter, other guy. The play-by-play literally goes, "It's up in the air." And he caught it. And the color guy goes, Bills lose. It's like he walks off. Bills lose.
That's why the radio guys are the best. And I can't believe people's complaint is their bias. And I'm like, they're paid by the team. Of course they're biased. That's their job. It's like, can you imagine in the AFL, I could flick it to the Richmond channel and I'd get nothing but the 2 most biased Richmond fans ever calling the game. It's great. It's what I want. The only problem is there's so many teams in Melbourne. You can't do it that way. But when it comes to NFL, 1-team towns, it's easy to do it. I mean, as I said, they're paid by the team. So, I can't believe people actually make that complaint. But personally, I almost prefer the radio guys. The Chargers guys are really good too.
That's Matt Money Smith.
Yeah,
Who, if
they're
anyone listens
great.
to around the NFL, is the guy that does the starting bit for them, the money calls they call it.
Yeah,
that's
the
Money
intro.
Smith.
So it's, I love it. Like, go get yourself a tune in.
Actually, on a
great.
side note, Richie, just to go off on a bit of a tangent, Dan Hansis, who's on the NFL, the Around the NFL podcast, is one of my favorites. He does a music podcast, the Throwback podcast, where they go, I'm not a big music person, but I actually really enjoy it. And he had Matt Money Smith on that podcast. If you're interested in hearing about Matt Money Smith, he was like a massive record label executive before moving into NFL stuff. It is a very, very interesting story. If you're ever interested in Matt Money Smith, he's the color guy or is he play-by-play for the Chargers?
I think he's color.
He's color. Yeah, he's
wrong,
the color guy for the Chargers radio. Really interesting story. Go Throwback podcast. Go have a listen. Very, very cool. Let's move on to, are we buying Tua time? They're winning. They're 3-0 since putting him in. He doesn't turn the ball over much. I think he's only had 1 turnover in 3 games. But they've also had a defensive or special team score in all 3 of those games.
Them. Yeah. Look, their D, I was going to say is playing really well, but I actually don't want to say that. They're playing well and they're creating turnovers and opportunities.
Byron Jones was a great signing for them. It is really great for them. I wish the Cowboys. Everyone knows I loved Byron Jones, but it has made Xavier Howard a better player, and Byron Jones is he's just a good, really, really good lockdown corner. So then you target Xavier Howard, who's great at producing turnovers. That's what he's been doing the last few weeks. It's a great matchup. I don't know. I watched this. This is a game I went back and watched. They won it quite comfortably. I felt like the Chargers were never going to come back, although it was only like an 8-point game in the end. I just never felt the Chargers had it. I think Anthony
they never do.
Yeah, I think Anthony Lynn's in real trouble. As much as I like him, I think he's in real trouble. But I think when you look back at thinking, everyone said, why put in Tua when you've got Fitzmagic who can win you a game when you need to? But what I think Brian Flores understood was that maybe he understood he had a really productive defense and a good special teams. And this is a great time to do it.
Here's the thing. How many snaps of their practice have you seen this year?
None. 0.
And how many do you think their coaching staff has seen?
I'd say, just going on a limb, probably 100% of them.
Yeah.
Whether they've seen
exactly. So I was thinking more about this more last week when he had the shootout with Murray.
Yep. And they won, yeah? Yeah, they won. Yeah, Miami won. Yep.
Yeah. You kind of sit and you think, what the fuck do we know? We do this for fun and entertainment, but they're there every day. They see every snap. They analyze every snap. They know what they had. They know what they had. They clearly knew he was healthy. He might have the playbook completely down, knows every check, every play, and just has to get into it. Now, week 1, I was the first to say, I was like, wow, he looks really pedestrian. But since he's clearly got into the groove of it, and here's the future. I love Fitzmagic. I've ridden that train too, but it ain't taking you to the mountaintop. It's just not. But Tua might. When he came in that national championship game for Alabama, when he'd sat all year behind Jalen Hurts, I think off the top of my head.
I think it was, because then Jalen
there was some, and then he 5th year transferred.
Yep.
To Ohio State. So you look at it and you're like, this dude is different. He is special, and you saw it straight away. And his entire career with Alabama had it.
You can see it now. I think there's something about him. There's something about him that I like, and we're going to talk about it a bit later. That guys that Clowney's a guy I've always talked about. The stats might not always.
He had a good stop on the weekend.
Yeah, he's just a good player. Like the stats aren't always on it. I want to talk about this later, but I think Tua's
he still gets double teamed all the time.
Yeah, I know. I think he's got that factor to her, and I like it. I think. I didn't think it was a good idea at the time, but he's played in 2 games where, again, like this week, he was pedestrian. He just did what he had to do. He didn't need to do a lot. They ran the ball pretty well. He didn't turn the ball over. He was 15 and 25. Pretty good, pretty solid. But then last week in Arizona, against a good team, he won in a shootout and showed that he can actually produce high offense.
On the road.
I want to see him do that more, but I'm buying it right now. I'm really buying Tua time, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying Miami being relevant, and I think Miami fans are too. I like Miami. I really do enjoy them.
I think if you're Miami, you're thinking, okay, well, we've got our guy.
Yeah, I think
if you don't have to
games.
worry about that stuff, I mean, geez, it makes life easier. Like it really does.
Flores might be a really good coach too. He might be one of the Belichick guys that actually work out. Because I can promise you, Matt Patricia's gone this year.
I agree, but you've also got
Joe Judge.
Titans guy. I've gone totally blank on.
Vrabel, Mike Vrabel.
Now I know he went.
Right.
He went with O'Brien down to. And see this thing. If O'Brien had a bloody GM, he'd probably still be there because I actually think he's an exceptional coach. He's just a horrendous GM.
Yeah. Oh, the Hopkins trade. My God.
That's going to haunt him forever.
I think it will. Haunt him for the rest of his life.
He might not get offered a job this year, even if he wants one.
I think he'll end up as an OC. I think he'll end up back as an OC somewhere. Maybe at the Titans in Mike Vrabel. Maybe something like that. The Titans coordinator might do a job. It's a boys' club. We all know what the NFL is like. Did you see the other day, going off a little bit again, I saw something pop up and I haven't been able to find any information on it. Apparently they're offering teams 3 third-round compensation picks if you hire a minority head coach or GM.
So you basically get an extra third-round pick.
No, you get 3 extra third-round picks. This is what I saw. I don't think it's true because I cannot find it anywhere. And surely if that came out, that'd be big news.
Yeah.
Could you imagine
maybe that was a proposal or something.
Yeah. Could you imagine the Trump supporters in America if that came out? My maron. They would lose their mind.
The guy in the GM, the new GM in Cleveland, I wish I could remember his name. I should be able to find it. But I think he's been exceptional.
Andrew Berry.
That's him.
Yep.
So the two kudos to the leadership at the Browns lately because they know, as we're just talking about Tua, hey, maybe he's it, maybe you got it, maybe you don't in Cleveland right now. So by them controlling the football, running it well, what they have installed there is working for them.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day in the NFL, the goal is to be competitive. Because if you're competitive, you can win.
And then you need that one special year that everyone just plays at a high level. You get a few guys track years, some rookies playing at a high level, and bang, it comes together. You're right. You look at the good teams for a long time. Patriots, Steelers. I'm trying to think of others. Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
Teams that find a way. Packers. Teams that find a way to just find. Yep, Saints just find they've been good for 20 years. They've been good teams, competitive teams for 20 years, and they've all had a year that they're bobbed up. The Patriots have had a lot, but they've all had years where they've bobbed up and been exceptional that year, and they've won a Super Bowl. But they're just competitive. They're in it every year. They're always a champ. That's the key for teams. And I think Cleveland is starting to find that. They're starting to. I think Baker's a worry, but they're starting to find it. Also, how bad did Nick Chubb fuck your fantasy team?
Yeah, I would have lost anyway because I didn't start Ronald Jones. So
it would have been nice if he'd run that in for.
I lost a horsey too. He's terrible. I think I'm gonna be in the sacco, dude. I'm really worried. Really worried.
I think Alvin Kamara. Thank you,
dude.
Alvin.
Your team's because
honestly, Hopkins was pretty nice last play of the game to get me 14 points. It was pretty.
Yeah, it was handy.
Yeah,
nice little add-on.
I think I won by 18, so it would have been real close without that from
there you go.
Yeah. Let's move on to the Patriots. They get a big win over the Ravens. They're back. I think they're going to do it again, Rich. I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to make the freaking playoffs. Have we forked? We didn't fork them, did we? I wasn't that.
I think you wanted to. I'm just loading it now.
Just drummed the Ravens never looked like winning that game. I'm sorry, the Patriots were all over them, and I'm not going to go too deep into what's wrong with the Ravens.
No, you haven't forked them.
There's a couple of things that are wrong with the Ravens. I don't think Hollywood Brown's that good a receiver because if he was that good a receiver, he'd be fucking open every once in a while. Like he wouldn't have to Willie Snead every play or the Mark Andrews, the tight end. If Marcus Brown was that every play coming off. And I lost my mind, Richie, and there was a play right near the end of the game. They ran a little screen to try and get a few more cheeky yards. And Marcus Brown could have blocked a guy and just completely didn't try. Just got out of the way, and he ran up, tackled the tight end. The tight end kind of got up and looked at him like, come on, man. Like, you just try. I could go an extra 7 or 8 yards to make it easy to throw it into the end zone. And then he couldn't get out of bounds and stop the clock. Like, they weren't going to win, I don't think. But that's the stuff that makes players different. Like, you reckon Mike Evans does that? No, Mike Evans goes and drills that guy and tries to make, because they want to win. I think Marquise Brown needs to be out of that team. I think he's an issue. Get fucking rid of him. He doesn't produce, and he's a dickhead. He's clearly complaining all the time. He's deleted all Baltimore off his Instagram. Like, he does tweets every week. They've got to be deleted because he's an idiot. Like, you don't need it. Just move on. You don't need guys like that in your team. They struggle running the ball against good teams. The Patriots came in saying, you're not going to beat us running the ball, and they stopped them. You've got to be able to change that up. But it's really hard when your best receiver is Willie Snead. That offense is not as talented as people think it is. They lost Marshall Yander in the offseason, who's one of the best right guards of the past decade. He's a superstar. That you don't just lose, elite offensive linemen and get better. Go and ask the Dallas Cowboys. Go and ask the Philadelphia Eagles. You don't just lose those guys and become a better team for it. I think there's a lot, and they've also lost Ronnie Stanley, who's their all-pro left tackle for the year. They lost him 2 weeks ago. So, you've got to look at those things. But I think the Patriots, and I hope, have you got their schedule up? I think they're going to do it.
I'm doing it now.
I think they're making the playoffs. I really believe it.
They have 4 wins right now.
Yep.
They need at least 4 more. Probably 5.
Probably 5.
They need 5 wins out of these last 7.
Yep.
Here you go. You ready?
Yep.
Texans.
Win.
Cardinals.
Win.
Ooh. Chargers.
Sorry, is it in at Cardinals or at home?
It is Gillette Stadium.
Win.
That's the time.
Yep.
Cool. Chargers.
Win.
Rams.
In LA?
At Rams.
Loss.
Dolphins. At Dolphins.
They'll win that. They will freaking win that. It's a division game with the season on the line. They'll take it.
Bills at home.
They win that. They'll split it. They'll split with the Bills.
Whoa.
Oh, the Bills aren't that good.
Jets at home.
Win.
Well, you got them in. They're in easy.
That's 6. Well, I think they're going to do it. Like, maybe they don't. Maybe they drop Arizona or drop Miami or drop Bills, but I think they win. They win 2 of those 3. I can see them winning.
That's still 9.
Yeah, I can see. I think they're going to be a playoff team. I want them to be too. I really want them to be. Like, it's just so fun when they're good. I thought I wanted them to suck, but I don't like it. I like it when they're around. I need them. They're like that piece of shit friend that has the good PlayStation, and then you're like, you when he's not there, when you're not friends anymore, you're like, I know that guy's a piece of shit, but fuck, it was fun going around and playing all his games. That's what the Patriots out of me.
You've just described yourself.
I know. People need me because I've got all the good. I need the Patriots to be good. I don't enjoy them being bad, and I thought I would, but I don't enjoy it. I like Cam Newton when he's good. He's played really well the last 2 weeks. I'm on them. I think they're going to storm home, and they're going to be a playoff team. 8 wins probably gets you in the playoffs in the AFC. Honestly,
does it? Hang on.
No, you've got Raiders.
So here's the problem. Here's the problem right now.
Baltimore.
All 3 wildcard teams right now are on 6 wins. Sorry, 4. The 4 potential. So there's only 3 of them, but there's 4 of them on 6 wins right now. So it is super competitive.
Still not get it.
And they're 2 games back already. So it's a big ask.
If anyone could do it, it'd be the Patriots.
And 2 of them are ahead in the division. So winning the division will be even harder.
No, then they're not catching. I don't think they're catching the Bills because I think the Bills are a really good team. I really do. I'm buying into the Bills. Josh Allen.
So I take it back.
Very good.
I take it back. There are 5 teams in the AFC on 6 wins right now, battling for those wildcard spots. 5 of them.
Oh, it's going to be tough. I just think they do it. I think like 3 of those teams just fall apart and the Patriots roll in. It would not surprise me if the Dolphins fall apart. It is the
big thing, right? Everyone else is just done. The Jags 1 win, done. Texans 1 win, done. Cincinnati 2 wins, done, even though the future quarterback is set. Chargers 2 wins, they're done. Broncos are 3, they're done. And the Jets have no wins, so they're done. The Broncos have got the 4 wins, but then the Dolphins, the Raiders, the Ravens, the Browns, and the Titans are all on 6 wins already.
Yeah.
That's where it's going to be really hard. And then the Colts are on 6 wins as well in the South. So those 2 are going to battle out not only for the conference win, but that wild card spot as well, or one of.
Yep.
Chiefs are probably running away with the West. They're 8-1, and the Bills are 7-3. So Dolphins only being one game back with one game in hand. That's alive as well. So they're going to be playing their hearts out for the division. So it's going to be the Patriots have got a lot of work to do if they want one of those wild card spots, because there's so many teams that already have 2 more wins than them.
It could happen though. I'm
not saying it can't. I'm just saying, as always,
the early
banked wins. Early wins.
Let's move on. Last segment, last bit of the show. I want to talk about the Akeem Hicks factor, Richie. It's this thing I came up with today. I was watching the Minnesota-Chicago Bears game. Minnesota got the win. Minnesota back on a roll, by the way. They play Cowboys next week, and then I think it's Cowboys, then Lions, and then they have the Packers. But if they win Cowboys and Lions, they're right back in the NFC race.
No, they play all the Pussycats. So the Cowboys, Panthers, and then Jags.
That's what I mean. Like, they're going to win the next 3. If they win the next 3, they are right. What are they on, 5 wins now?
No, they're on 4. They're 4-5.
That would make them 7-5. They are right back alive in that race. If they were in the East, they'd be shitting at home.
They'd win the division.
They would be leading the division if they were in the East right now.
Didn't they play the East this year?
Yeah, they've already beaten.
Oh, no, they didn't. No, they didn't.
They just played the Cowboys, did they? We finished second. They finished second last year.
Yeah.
So what I want to talk about is it's called the Akeem Hicks factor. So Akeem Hicks is the D tackle, DN, whatever you want to call him, the big bugger that plays for the Chicago Bears. Absolute just gold interior lineman, just destroys offensive linemen. But statistically, he's not a proven guy. And we talked about this earlier with Tua about guys who can affect a game with, without being a big statistical game. And I want to prove to you how this game changed. The Bears defense were dominating this game. Dominating. It didn't look like the only time the Vikings were scoring were off turnovers. Now the Bears offense is a different story, but their defense was in control. Akeem Hicks gets hurt, comes out of the game. Very next drive, after absolutely dominating the game and stopping the run for the entire game, you've got Dalvin Cook for 8 yards, Madison for 4 yards, incomplete. Dalvin Cook, 13 yards. Dalvin Cook, 1 yard. Complete pass, 22 yards. Complete pass, 14 yards. Dalvin Cook, 6 yards. Dalvin Cook, 1 yard. Touchdown. Adam Thielen without Akeem Hicks. Now, then they didn't really have to put another drive together because they were just running the ball to drain the clock because the Bears' offense is so bad. They only scored a touchdown off a kick return touchdown in this game. I think there's
Patterson's still cashing checks. Love it.
Did you see Mike Zimmer lose his fucking mind at the special teams coordinator? Yeah. I believe it was on the term.
It was great.
Why did you kick it to him? You saw him there. Why would you kick it to him? I think at one point he said, just kick it out of fucking bounds on a kickoff. He preferred to start from the 40 than let Darryl have a shot at it. But I found it really interesting that a guy who a lot of people probably don't even know who Akeem Hicks is. And I ask you to look him up, and I ask you to look up the pictures of him standing next to Darren Sproles and tell me that they're the same species. But
that's a great photo, that one.
Oh, it's a great photo. The meme of, imagine if aliens invaded our country and we had to explain to them that these two people are the same organism. It's hysterical. But we got to give love to these guys. And Clowney's another one. A guy I used to love was Sean Lee. He wasn't a statistical princess, but he just made plays all the time. He just flew around the field. There's plenty of them around the league. And Ndamukong Suh's been one. Now, I know he had a few big sack years, but he's a guy that you primarily you don't see him affecting the stat sheet that much. But you watch him play, and you're vital. Like, where's that guy in the middle? They just can't move him. They've got to give some love to those guys. And although Minnesota got the win today, it's nothing to do with that defense. And it's nothing to do with Akeem Hicks. But you saw when he was in the game, the linebackers were just flying around, getting tackles for loss. They couldn't do anything. First drive out, it's like bang, 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 touchdown. I just think we're going to give more love to these guys who aren't stat collectors. They're just good football players. And Akeem Hicks is one who really came to mind today for me. So I'm calling it the Akeem Hicks factor. I'm going to try and come up with them every so often. I'm going to try and find one. Do we have to fall?
Also, before we do, Justin Jefferson, his season is outstanding.
If you took quarterbacks out, he's rookie of the year.
Agreed, 100%.
I don't think
quite frankly, with a bullet. Yeah, it wouldn't be close. It wouldn't be close at all.
Say like Herbert and and Burrows don't win another game this year, they still play like well, but they don't win another game, and they make the playoffs.
Jefferson keeps going like that. Yeah, it should be
could be rookie of the year. He's had
It
4
should be
100-yard games. The record 600-yard games in a rookie year for a wide receiver, which is owned. Can you guess? But you can't.
Rookie receiver, Megatron.
Anquan Bolden. 600-yard games his rookie year. First receiver, I think he's only one of like 3 receivers to get over 1,200 yards in their rookie year. Randy Moss is one of them, and there's one other. I think Mike Dichter might be the other one. That's how far back it was.
He's tight end.
Yeah, but like just receive any rookie receiving player to get over 1,200 yards. But yeah, really interesting. He's also the first player with 50 catches and to average 18 yards per catch, something like that. Randy Moss and the guy who plays for the Titans, it's a rookie last year, not Corey Davis, the other one, AJ Brown. He got that last year as well, over 50 catches and 18 yards per catch. It's pretty. Jefferson's in a pretty good company right now. I'm very much enjoy watching him play, and Thielen's still good. Minnesota, I'm excited. They're fun to watch. They were fun to watch today. I enjoyed it.
I mean, as I've always said at the start of the year, I had them.
They're good. But again, what did you say?
With the same amount of
bank the early wins.
Bank those early wins. Makes it hard.
Yeah. So, well, mate.
Forkin.
Oh, yeah, Forkin. Let's fork.
All right. So, for those who don't know, we have forked the Falcons, the Jets, the Giants, the Broncos, the Bengals, Cowboys, 49ers, Jags, Texans, Chargers. Can I go first? Or you want to go first?
No, you go.
I'm ready to fork the Lions.
Well, you've gone out on a limb there.
I just think it's...
Have we already forked the 49ers? Did I do that? That would have been me.
You did it. It was you.
I'll play JA. You're a bright.
Actually, you know what? I'll take that back.
Who are you forking?
I shouldn't because they can still win the division, but I will fork the Washington Professional Football Team.
I wanted to do that. Okay, you got Washington. So is now the Eagles the only team not forked in that division now? Because I forked the Cowboys 3 weeks ago.
And I forked the Giants in week 1. Well, not week 1, but when we first did it.
All our hopes right on the Eagles. Can I just fork the Eagles too?
I wonder if I can unfork the Giants.
No, you can't unfork. I am going to fork the Carolina Panthers. Time has come. 3-7. There's no way they're winning 6 games down the stretch to steal the spot. They're 4th in division. They've got to play Tampa and New Orleans still. I like what they've done this year. I like Matt Rule as a coach. I think there's a good base to build off. You've got to improve that defense a bit, get some offensive line help. But I think they've got a good base there, and I like what they've done. And I like Matt Rule, but they're done this year. I don't see them pushing it too hard, to be honest.
No, I think that's fair.
That's fair. All right, that's our 2 forked teams, and that is the show. Garraway, thank you very much as always, mate. Thank you to my friends at Brewing. This coffee beer is just, I'm not sleeping tonight. I might have another one. I don't even care. It's so good. The thing is, I should treat it like I don't have any still because I'm going to drink them all and they'll be gone. I should treat it like I should.
If you let me come over, there won't be any. Just quietly, but to Burnley, I know we carry on about them and they're a sponsor, but in all seriousness, that coffee brown is exceptional. It is so good. And even, as I sip away on my barrel age, which is so strong, what I love about Burnley Brewing is they really do try and craft something different. Like, you're not going to have a session on these things. You'll be on the floor after 2 of them. But what they infuse into their beers is exceptional. And if you don't like heavy beers, which those 2 are, their range of Neepers and sours and things, they experiment with anything. Like, they really do try to create something that's quite special and quite different. Of course, their pale ale and their lager and the draft are great. And if you're having a long drinking session, you should really stick to those. But their specialty beers, what they really try and do with them, like, they're really good. They're really good.
I picked up one today that I should have grabbed it out. It's a very special one. It's 30% fruit juice or something like that. So it's like a fruit beer.
I love it. They give it a go. They do a short run of them. They're special. You got to try them before they're all gone. Even their collaboration they did with Art versus Science.
Yeah, the beer, and they did one with
was really Yeah, it was really good fun too. So, that's what you want from your beer industry, because I said if you're having a big session, you're just gonna buy one of the normal everyday like Carl Draft, whatever, because you know it's expensive to have a session on craft beer. But
Not if you're sponsored.
no, but even speaking more generally about beer in Australia, the craft scene here is just so good. There's just so much going on, and Burnley are one of the guys who are just leading the way. And I was
I'm not a craft beer guy, but I'm changing.
Yeah, and I was glad here they did really well. And to all Melbourneians who are now allowed to get out, like, do go out and support these businesses. Because if we don't, they're not going to be there. They've been doing it tough. So I'm not the guy who say, "Oh, we've done such a great job." I hate that, so patronizing. But get out and support them. You know, if you can get away for the weekend, go regional, like whatever. Just if you've been lucky enough to get through this with your job and you haven't been affected too much, do the rest of the economy a favor and get out and visit and spend and do all those things. Because I don't know you, Jay, but I had a big holiday booked, which we didn't spend that money. And I know I've been trying to do my bit, spend up, go out for dinner too much. It's just good to get out. But two, it just helps your fellow Victorians out. It's just the right thing to do.
Yeah, 100%. Also, thank you to Breaking Oz Memorabilia. Love your work, guys. Guys, if you want to win helmets, I've had a few guys that have been, viewers of the show that have then gone to that group. And one, Lewis Wiley, who's a long-time listener of The Vault, who won a Dick Butkus signed Chicago Bears
helmet. Did he?
It's really
good on him.
Yeah, it's really cool. So he got in a break. So get in there and start collecting. As you can see, like I'm got right into it. I'm really loving it. I've got parents asking me, "Oh, what do you want for birthday? I got a birthday coming up in a few weeks. What do you want for your birthday?" I'm like, "Oh, I'll find a helmet. I'll let you know. I'll send you some details.
I'll send you a link.
It's fun and it's cool. And you know what? They're investments. They actually do. If you invest right, like anything, you can make money off them. And they're also really cool to show your mates and stuff when they come around. So it's a bit of a feature. So get around Breaking Oz Memorabilia. Richie, that is it for us tonight. Thank you, my boy. And you'll hear from us all next week.